Dash dash dash. The first time I walked into the small, fluorescent-lit break room at the KFC on the corner of Maple and 3rd, I promised myself I'd only be there for a little while. Just until the bills were caught up. Just until the electric company stopped sending those pale yellow warning slips, and the rent wasn't teetering on late every single month. But life has a way of stretching, a little while, into something longer. Weeks turned into months, and the routine became second nature. Tie the red apron, pull on the visor, clock in, and let the smell of frying chicken sink into my clothes and skin. The work was hard, not unbearable, but it had a way of clinging to me. The grease stuck to my hair no matter how often I washed it. My sneakers grew heavy from hours of standing. By the end of every shift, my feet felt like bricks dragging me toward the door. When I pushed through the back exit each night, the cool air outside felt like a small gift. The sky above was dark, often scattered with a few stars that seemed to wink at me between streetlights. I'd take a deep breath, though it was always tinged with fried oil, and start the slow walk home. Dash dash dash. At home, things were quieter. My son, Daniel, was usually asleep by the time I returned. He was 23, tall like his father had been, and smart too. College hadn't worked out, though, not the way we thought it would. He'd taken a job at a warehouse, but the hours had been cut, and soon he couldn't keep up with his car payments. Then came the medical bills from an unexpected trip to the emergency room. And somehow, it was me who picked up the pieces. "I'll help," I told him the night he sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands, unopened envelopes stacked like bricks around him. "Don't worry about it, Daniel. I'll help." So I took the late shifts, the ones no one wanted. My coworkers, kids half my age, mostly high schoolers earning pocket money, joked that I was the night anchor, steady and dependable. They didn't know that every hour I worked was paying for someone else's wait. Dash dash dash. The nights dragged sometimes. The rhythm of the fryer, the chatter of drive-through headsets, the endless wiping of counters and sweeping of floors. There was a strange comfort in the sameness. But when the store went quiet, and I leaned against the counter to stretch my back, I felt the loneliness creep in. I thought about how I'd imagined life at this stage. I was 52, old enough to crave peace, young enough to still feel the sting of exhaustion in my bones. I had pictured evenings spent in the garden, or curled up with a book, not pulling apart chicken boxes and mopping grease off tiled floors. Still, when I walked into the apartment at night and saw Daniel asleep on the couch, the bills tucked into a drawer instead of scattered across the table, I reminded myself it was worth it. Dash dash dash. One Thursday night, after a shift that felt longer than usual, I came home later than expected. The bus had broken down, forcing me to walk an extra 2 miles. By the time I opened the door, my shirt clung to me with sweat, and my feet ached so badly that I kicked my shoes off the second I stepped inside. The apartment was dark, except for the flicker of the television. Daniel was awake, which was unusual. He muted the screen when he saw me, his eyes following me as I lowered myself into the recliner with a groan. "You look beat, Mom," he said softly. I laughed a little, though it sounded tired. "That's because I am. Grease and gravity are not kind companions." For a moment, neither of us spoke. I rubbed my feet, staring at the floor, until Daniel leaned forward with a sudden urgency. "Mom, you don't have to keep doing this," he said. His voice was firm, but it trembled at the edges. "You've done enough. More than enough." I looked up, surprised. "The bills. I'll handle them," he interrupted. "I found another job. Full-time. Better pay. I start Monday." I blinked, unsure if I'd heard him right. "Daniel, are you serious?" He nodded, his face breaking into the smallest of smiles. "Yeah, I didn't want to tell you until it was official. But it's real. You don't have to work those late shifts anymore." Dash dash dash. The relief came slow, like water trickling into dry soil. I felt it soak into me, though part of me resisted. For so long, carrying the burden had been my role, my rhythm. Could I really set it down? I studied his face, the same brown eyes he'd had as a boy, now steadier, more determined. And in that moment, I realized something. Maybe this was the twist life had been waiting to show me. Not that I was meant to carry everything forever, but that he was ready to carry some of it too. Dash dash dash. The following week, I worked my last late shift at KFC. I told my manager I'd be leaving, and she gave me a hug, grease-stained apron and all. "We'll miss you," she said. On my final night, the fryer hummed the same as always, the chicken boxes piled up, the mop bucket sloshed across the floor. But when I clocked out, I felt lighter. I stepped outside into the night air and didn't just breathe, I filled my lungs, deep and slow, as though the world smelled of something sweeter than oil. At home, Daniel was waiting. He had cleaned the living room, even set out a vase of fresh flowers on the table. "Welcome home, Mom," he said, handing me a mug of tea. I sat down, my feet still sore but my spirit softer, calmer. The apartment was quiet, but not lonely. The bills were tucked away, not forgotten but no longer looming. For the first time in a long time, I felt the edges of peace curl around me. Maybe life wasn't what I'd once imagined. It was messy, full of long shifts and swollen feet and clothes that smelled of grease. But it was also full of quiet moments like this one, the kind that reminded me why I had endured, and why I could finally rest. I looked at Daniel, his shoulders straighter, his eyes brighter. He was ready for the wait. And I was ready to let it go. That night, when I closed my eyes, I didn't dream of fryers or bills or empty kitchens. I dreamed of wide, open skies, of walking barefoot through soft grass. I dreamed of rest, not just for my body, but for my heart. And for the first time in years, it felt within reach.